Hey, welcome back, guys. So I've got this guitar dangling precariously from a beam that's only attached on one side here because my old painting spot, I pointed that way because it's over there, is occupied at the moment. Today, you've probably just recently seen me finish off the headstock here. I put the little flame pattern on it, and today we're going to move to the clear coating. So the clear coating is, aside from polishing, essentially the last step in finishing this guitar before we start installing stuff in it. What else here? Oh, so some of you might be wondering, am I going to clean the binding or what happened to the binding? There's a white binding underneath this black lacquer here. If I wanted to clean it, I would take a brand new razor blade and carefully scrape off the black. That's how a lot of people do it. It works quite well. I'm not going to. I like the way that it looks like this, and I think that the white with this color scheme would look a little bit harsh. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. The clear coat that I'm going to apply is going to be a nitrocellulose lacquer, full gloss. I'm going to do 3 coats. So I'm just going to mix it up 50-50 with lacquer thinner. If it were more humid in here, I would be using about 5% retarder. I know some of you probably laughed at that word. You're terrible people. Just kidding. So I'm going to not use any of that. It's going to be just a straight 50-50. If it's very humid where you are, I don't think you should be using nitrocellulose lacquer, or you should be looking at options maybe with an air conditioning unit or something to pull some of that moisture out of the air. Lacquer is very susceptible to having problems when it comes to moisture. So you don't want blushing and stuff in your finish. It's difficult to fix if it's even possible. So I'm going to do about 3 coats of the 3 light coats of the gloss lacquer today. And when I say light, I mean like still reasonably wet coats that should still look shiny when you put it on there. Sometimes when I tell people light coats, they just kind of dust a little bit of paint on there from a distance, and well, you're not even really painting when you do that. It needs some solvent in there. It still needs to be, you know, glossy when you put it on. You're gonna end up with a really textured and awful finish, if you can even call it that, if you're just like dusting the paint on. So I'm gonna do, yeah, like I said, 3 of them light today. Some people say you should only do 1 coat of lacquer per day. I've tried both of those methods. I feel like if I keep them light enough, 3 in a day isn't a problem. So I'm going to do them probably 15 minutes apart because lacquer dries fairly quickly. But also you can let it dry as much as you want, unlike most paints, before putting your next coat on. I'll film those, or at least a couple of them. I'll come back in a few days, maybe sand it lightly to make sure everything's smooth, and then throw on another couple coats. I won't film that because that's a waste of time. You're gonna get the gist of it when you see me do the first couple, 2 or 3. And that's about it. I might give you some more information about it in the voiceover. I haven't decided yet. We'll see if I identify some gaps in my explanation. So without further ado, let's start painting. Alright guys, so here I go with my first coat. If you've been following my video so far, you know that I do a 50% overlap in my paint, so my fan pattern is probably 6 to 8 inches wide, or tall in this case, where it hits the guitar. So I'm going to overlap by 3 or 4 inches every stroke that I do. I tend to start with the edges. I shot the headstock there first. I'll probably go over it again here. But I start with the edges because I don't want to be spraying a bunch of overspray onto the faces afterward as I'm doing the edges. So it's best to spray the edges first and then hit the faces after, like I am here. The reason for that is when you spray over your overspray after, it just melts it in there and it's not an issue anymore. Whereas if you spray something and then you get overspray on it after, it tends to take away the gloss and kind of give it a bit of a dusty look. So you'll kind of notice me do that with the body as well. I'm going to spray the edges first and then I'll go over the faces. That same reason is why you'll essentially see me start from the top of any given surface and work my way down. So when I go to spray the face of the body, for example, I start at the top and work my way down. The reason for that, kind of like I said, is to cover the overspray with your spraying after. So as you're shooting vertically like this, the overspray tends to make its way downward, and I want to make sure I'm passing back over that after. You can also see here that I'm making an effort to stabilize the guitar a little bit because it's hanging precariously from a wire, which isn't ideal. If you don't have to spray in a situation like that, then it's probably best not to. If you can get it a little bit more stable, that's a good thing. You'll see in some areas I'm making multiple quick passes. It's not a big deal. I'm putting it on pretty thin. The paint gun's set for moderate to high output right now, but I'm moving very quickly, and you can already start to see a nice gloss on the surfaces there as I go. I'm going to speed this second part up a little bit. It's the exact same thing again. I'm just doing my second coat, so I've waited 15 minutes, and here I am hitting my second coat. So this portion of the video is at double the regular speed. So don't think that I'm actually painting this fast. The previous portion was at normal speed, so that's about the pace that I normally paint at. So here I am just doing the same thing again. I'm hitting the edges. I'm going to go back. I'm going to hit the faces. I'm going to start with the higher stuff and work my way down. And again, I'm playing a little bit of a game here, struggling, trying to keep the guitar stable, which isn't ideal. It makes it a little bit more difficult to regulate your distance, particularly as somebody who's new to it. You want to make sure that you're careful about always keeping the same distance from the surface with your paint gun. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up so it'll be easier for other people to find, and subscribe to stay up to date with all the cool projects I got coming out. Also, a big shout out to Sovereign King, who does the vast majority of the music for my channel, way better on guitar than I am, and to Troy from Noise Guitar Mods. I'll put the link in the description. The man is a great guitar tech, and he's taught me most of what I know about how the internals of these things work. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. See you next time.